Welcome everyone to another review. This one's going to be on Rewrite Episode 12. I had to get this straightened out a bit. I'm not going to have a serious meltdown like I did in the previous episode, but I am going to talk about this episode probably a bit in detail, probably leave some stuff out like I usually do, and talk a bit about why people are dropping this episode and some of their complaints, which I'm going to address, and I bet anyone's going to watch this, besides you, my loyal viewers, and some others who have stumbled upon this video who haven't subscribed to me. I'm just trying to read my thoughts and see if I'm a person worth subscribing to for their thoughts on anime episodes. I'm going to get this out of the way. This episode of Rewrite, to me, was amazing. You may hate me, you may flame me, you may comment, or you may dislike this video like you guys do on my Macross Delta reviews for some reason the last previous two episodes before the current one, which I'm going to do later, which is fine. Criticism is welcomed. But the thing is that many visual novel players who are taking this as not as a complete cut adaptation, but an adaptation of what's possible with 13 episodes, and I can also see why. Now, to get this particularly straight, I know that many people may not like this episode. Many people might call it rushed, as I've seen on on Twitter and some other reviewers who are currently who just dropped it. Friends who are saying that they like this anime is total hog shit because of this episode now. It says they're stuck with it so long, they're disappointed with how things are rushed. Let's get this down straight. This is going to be a calm review. I don't know how long this is going to take. It's more of a review discussion. I'm going to put that in the title. I'm going to put this episode is for visual novel players, and I might make it a long title: visual novel players and those who read between the lines or who can understand and analyze different scenes. Excuse me, it might come off as a bit dickish in this review, but I am severely disappointed in the lack of I would care to say professionalism, I guess, in the reviews regarding Rewrite and some other animes. I know that we're not professionals, that we're not getting paid like exorbitant amounts from I don't know, Crunchyroll or whatever to review episodes, or have there's a big group or anything. We're doing this out of our free will and how we like anime and how we want to share our thoughts and opinions. But I am genuinely disappointed with how people are reviewing the episodes and basically overlooking a lot of small details that are actually really, really important. I have no idea if maybe they're just more interested in what the final action is going on, or they just want everything explained and spoon fed, as I've said before. How people are anime viewers nowadays are being spoon fed a lot of information. A lot of the mystery is basically uncovered in the very early episodes, even though there's still a lot of mystery, but most of it has been uncovered, while Rewrite has its mysteries under wraps. You won't know about it, and there'll be small subtle hints that you're supposed to find out for yourself and play the visual novel or just draw conclusions on yourselves and basically understand how an episode is structured. Now this episode, I have to agree, put in a lot of things, but it's very easy to understand if you were to actually pay close attention. And maybe you have to watch it a second time. Maybe you don't want to. Maybe you just want to watch it a first time and give your first impressions. I got mostly everything I needed from just a first rewatching because I was attentive enough enough to pay attention to small, finer details. I'm sure everyone must have noticed it, or they might have overlooked it, as seeing it's not as an important issue. But as someone like me who basically likes to critique things on a regular basics besides anime, like if I'm watching a movie with friends or family, I like to critique dumb stuff that happens. Yeah, I'm making fun of the things, but you can't enjoy it for what it is. And a lot of these hardcore elitists are hating on the anime, saying 8-Bit is a shit studio. Why is it 13 episodes? Romeo Tanaka, why have you let me down? It's basically the entire formatting of the 13 episode, whether they couldn't secure a 24 episode time slot to a 13-hour time slot, or the writer Romeo Tanaka wanted it to be basically wrote the story for a 13 episode core, which is a one core for this, is up to interpretation. You might have to ask him in an interview, or he might not, disclose it because of NDAs, or however that works in Japan. I'm pretty sure it functions similarly, and all of that. But the way they're doing this anime, and basically how they're handling it, is basically a setup of not explaining everything. They're not going to explain everything. Now, a lot of visual novel anime, which are usually 13 episodes, are basically go for a harem ending, an original harem route, or combining all of them and being subpar, mediocre. But a lot of them are really, really good in that they aren't really adapted pretty well, because it costs way too much to adapt all the routes. And people, usually when they decide to go one route and basically mix it up into a harem route and all that, is because they don't want to alienate other viewers who are actually fans of other girls, want to see their route animated and all that. I have to understand that Rewrite doing the 6th route Kagari, even though it's not really a romance per se in this sixth route compared to the original five routes of the visual novel. I would have to say that this sixth route is more like a extended bad ending. Now I'm going to go a bit into a bit detail about this extended bad ending theory that I have or and are confirmed. Is actually basically all that bad ending vibes, flags were triggered, everyone being in the same place, and all that, the usual things. And what seems people don't seem to understand is that that's how this anime was set up from the get-go. The moment that the sixth route was announced and how the basically episode 7 ended was just a big flag. It was the beginning flag of the bad ending. In visual novels, I would like to be more. If you're getting turned off by me talking about, no, not the episode in general right now, this is gonna be a long video for sure. But visual novels in general, whenever there's a bad ending involved, it's basically a shocker. It's a pop up. Let me give an example. Fate Stay Night has a bunch of bad endings that appear. If you don't have like certain relationship values up, or you make a bad choice and you don't realize it, and you don't realize and everything's okay, then bam, bad ending. Let me give an example. Fate Stay Night has a bad ending where Ilya, the master of Berserker and the daughter of Kuritsugu, basically shows up with Berserker at his house in one of the bad endings, kills Saber when he returns home. Like he goes into like back home. Tosaka and I think Saber were killed in this bad ending, and they were home, and he just comes back, and she basically says that they're too dangerous, leave alone, and your relationship values weren't high enough. She basically kills you on the spot, and there's also basically things like that. This is how this entire, I guess, with the 13 episodes were structured in a bad ending visual novel sort of way that not many people who play visual novels or who just don't want to pay attention or just read visual novels in their spare time and like to critique things on the medium they are basically basing it off as a shit thing. Now, many bad endings of visual novels, except for example with the Fates Night one, are like big shockers. They come out of nowhere, even though you think you made the right choice, but you didn't. There's a prime example of one of the rewrite bad endings. I'm going to spoil it right now. If you don't want spoilers, you can skip around a bit. Possibly on skip, so just keep on skipping around. See key phrases like rewrite and stuff. I don't know. Basically, one of the bad endings, it's a bad ending, so you really won't want to go into it unless you want to get one of the secret endings of the visual novels. One of the bad endings involves Kotaro deciding to rewrite himself or to not to rewrite himself, and this is going to go into a bit more into the episode. There's a monster called Kivoy Rog or whatever. And there's a fight scene in the visual novel where Kotaro faces off against it, and there's two options. You're giving the choice to rewrite yourself, basically to try to rewrite his blades, those aurora things, his claws, but in the anime right now, he only uses them as Wolverine claws. But in the visual novel, I'm going to spoil it a bit. I'm pretty sure you won't mind, as many of you probably won't want to pick up the visual novel later on in the date. It is coming at a hefty price. If it's going to be $80, then many people may be turned off. But it's essentially two games in one. It's coming with a plus fan disc, so that's a plus, and a revised, re-edited version of Rewrite, which has, I think they've edited parts of the story to make it flow better, took out plot holes, added more consistency, more details, and more new things, which is a great deal. I would say for two games. It's usually 120, so you're basically getting like $30 off. I'm terrible at math, so sorry about that. But yeah, one of those bad endings is if you were to rewrite yourself, you would get a bad ending. Now, some of them are immediate bad endings, and some of them are bad endings that happen over time. Like in Persona 3, I'm pretty sure many people played it. If you haven't, there's a bad ending where it's like an immediate bad ending, or yeah, basically a lot of visual novels have like bad endings that like basically happen. Like you think you chose the right one. That's what I'm trying to convey here. So now, basically, a majority of this is going to be about basically the adaptation and how bad endings and stuff, and how Tanaka Romeo, even if he did intend it to be this way or he didn't, is indeed a creative genius when it comes to this extended bad ending. For many visual novels that I've played that have bad endings that just stretched on for like an hour or two, bam, you hit a bad ending, it's a downer ending. It wasn't one of the endings that appear on like the ending achieved list when you complete a route, downer ending, or you die or something bad happens and it's just a fade of black. But anyways, let's go on to this episode. I'll be leaving a episode marker to start off where the review actually starts. Sorry about that. Alright, this episode of Rewrite is for a majority of people a turn off, drop, immediate drop, too many things, complaints of rushing, complain of too many things being put into one episode, not many things just being put there for shock value. I would not think so. I've played the visual novel. I know how things go. Now let's go on. This episode is going to be the prelude finale to the 13th episode, which is going to air next week on Saturday as well. The final episode. This basically is going to surmount to a big bad ending. The anime is going to have a bad ending, folks. I said it in my previous thing. I've talked about it on like chat forums and possibly YouTube, I think. And people are refuting me on that, saying that there is going to be a bad ending for that, but the reasons I've explained. Someone mentioned that I was a bit wrong on how the bad ending of the original Common route went for rewrite in the visual novel. I'm sorry if I got some details wrong. I haven't played the visual novel in so long. I might pick up Plus just for the fact that it has some new things in it, and the Harvest Festa of Fandis, which I really wanted to play to see the conclusion of some of the routes in the visual novel, even though we all know how they all end. Uh, this episode basically shows Kagari being in her state, looking at the sky, everyone being worried and stuff, and Sakuya doing his own thing, basically trying to scout out everything, and basically and that's when Gaia decides to strike. Mito, the blonde-haired guy, comes in, breaks in through the barrier of Kotori, Kotori's barrier, and comes in with that huge-ass Tyrannosaurus Rex monster, which is heavily armored. It's not a regular T-Rex, to be sure. It's heavily armored. It's not the Earth Dragon, I would think. No, it's definitely not, but it's some sort of familiar. Basically, in the visual novel, I'm not going to go into too much details about the visual novels, actually, so let's just skip that. So basically, Mito comes in, breaks through the barrier, and attacks basically everyone. Says, "I'm going to attack you. I want to kill you most of all." He doesn't give his reasons. We can just assume that Mito is just a crazy son of a bitch, which he is. His demeanor and all of that, and the fact that he's using such a crazy, powerful monster familiar T-Rex dinosaur thing is proof of that. Even though it's going to take away his life, he's going to use it. And then we got the hunters. Everyone but Isaka, the guy with the monocle, shows up and basically fights against them. And Kotaro try to protect Kagari when they, the old guys attempt to say, let's kill her. And the guy with the chainsaw, oh my god, the little guy with the chainsaw attacks them. But the thing that got to me was basically the scene before this, I think, which is when Mito first appears, and Kotori basically summons her parents. Now we get to see two coffins that they rise from, and one of them has the dad has a gun, and the mom has like a badass chainsaw. And they're basically fighting against Mito, and they basically, in the end, they both get destroyed. But we get to see some interesting facts that if you've played the visual novel, you would already know, but they had to throw this in there to tie in with basically the entire route thing and how Moon and Terra is eventually going to end up with. Because honestly, with the way they set up the first episode 0, they're going to animate Moon and Terra. Why would they do that if they didn't have any intention? I don't know, but it's very likely that they're going to animate Moon as an OVA and Terra as probably another 13 episodes or something like that. They could do Terra, I think, in 13 episodes, as it's mostly basically Kotaro becomes edgelord, and let's just say that he becomes the edgiest of them all, edgier than him in Akane's route. Let's just say that. No spoilers. I'm just saying that he becomes really edgy. And after that, basically, I can see why some people would get turned off the moment that happened, because it doesn't really come with a lot of explanation. But basically, the previous episode, or I think the previous episode before that, where we basically showed how Kotori got her druid powers, is that her parents were in that car crash as well, and there was blood everywhere. And we could assume that she brought them back to life. Kind of how there are theories going around based on anime onlys, how basically Kotori reanimated Kotaro, and basically the same thing can be said for her parents. As she said that they're just monsters now, but she could hear their thoughts, and basically when she hears that, she says, no, it can't be. They're obviously they're dead. And then they came back, and she reanimated them as the same things as basically all those little monster things, the trees and all that were, which unfortunately got wrecked by the ginormous Tyrannosaurus Rex, and Mito with his flame powers. Now, basically, Mino said something before he goes off to fight the hunters, basically saying that he has to protect, the key and all that from the hunters, and saying that, and basically he says something that we can't quite hear because of the flames. And I think maybe Kotaro must have heard, not us. But basically, we get to see more of Mito's backstory, and I think you also get to see Mito's backstory in Terra. I haven't played Terra in a long, long while, basically the entire rewrite visual novel as a whole, so I might be a bit sketchy on that. But I can see why also people might be turned off saying it's too much information in 30 in one episode. It's not concise, it's too rushed. To me, it didn't feel rushed. The information was presented in an easy to understand sort of way. If Tanaka Romi really wanted to hate him that much, he would have not included that flashback scene and just showed Mito just standing there thinking, and then after that he just dies because he used up his entire life force to basically use a ginormous Tyrannosaurus Rex, and basically is going to kill one of them, the really bearded guy with the axe. But basically, he's saved because Mito's life force runs out. Mito basically just breaks away and burns up. Basically, this is also going to go on the thing that many people are patient. I guess Japan is doing pretty well. I mean, a lot of people like it, I guess. But also here we have the people who like the anime, people who hate it, people who hate it, and people who hate it, and people who do more on it. To me, that's a bit weird, and it's understandable. It's not weird; it's understandable. But to just call, I've seen people call the visual novel total crap because of this anime, which is because of the anime, which is really, really weird. I mean, you can't really call the anime of Fate Stay Night so superb, even though it's animated by Ufotable. Sure, Ufotable left out still a lot of details in Shiro's inner monologues, and basically Shiro's inner monologues basically make Fate Stay Night one of the greatest mediums in visual novel players ever. You don't just play, you don't, you lose a lot of things that you would not include the protagonist's visual novel. That's what makes the visual novel so engaging, is that you're the protagonist, you can hear his thoughts and his and what is going through his head. Same thing with Kotaro. You right is so much full of inner monologue that you would miss a lot of things. People are saying that, oh, they should short by their actions instead of thinking. That's one of the major pitfalls of rewrite. I've seen people say that. And the thing is, that's such a core part of rewrite. You would lose so much of rewrite if you were just to exclude the inner monologues that Kotaro is having. And basically in Face Day Night, they exclude a lot of Emiya's, inner monologue, and basically the inner monologues make the battles themselves so much more epicer. I mean, the detailed explanations of how the fights are going, of how he uses the blades and how he moves, and basically his like similes, metaphors, and all that, and basically his comparisons, and basically the figurative language that's used, the Emiya, and basically a lot of original protagonists use when they're English translated, shows us how much detail and care is put into these fight and action scenes, and basically descriptions of just regular things, and how basically you come to live and look and realize the world through their eyes is just as real as to them as it is to you, and it connects you deeper. That's what makes many visual novels hard to adapt, because you lose so much of the plot, so much information if you were to take out the main protagonist's inner monologue, which is what a lot of them do. Agree, understandably, you can't just have an entire episode full of monologues, but they could include important things. Like with Kotaro, we can see his thoughts on important matters, even mindless ones, but they're also important because that's how this anime is built up. It's foreshadowing. Now let's go back to this episode. This episode basically ends with man, I don't know. Oh man, I'm getting a bit triggered. I'm not gonna get triggered in this review. I guarantee it. Guarantee you. If I do get triggered, I'll bring out that fall episode season thing video today. I'll be making it today if I do get triggered in this review. I'm recovering from a cold right now, so my throat isn't up to par, as I have a bottle of water next to me just in case it itches way too much. But this episode basically has the entire group except for Akane end up in this inverted world of Kazamatsuri where the big tree is. Now, we can infer, and visual novel players do know, that this is basically a subspace of magical illusions or whatever created by Gaia itself to store up monsters, as, I think Kotori or Lucia or Shizuru said. And basically that's what it is. It's a giant storage thing, and that many mysteries of how Kotaro ends up in these different situations in the visual novel, like when he's at school, or how he got into that endless hallway or endless stairs thing, is explained by Gaia. Gaia, his home base is in Kazamatsuri. They're the Martel Corporation. Guardian has to send in foreign agents from other countries to Japan and to Kazamatsuri. That's basically a lot of foreshadowing and a lot of information drop that they didn't have to explicitly have to say. It's just a random name drop that you would not notice if you weren't paying attention. And basically why a lot of people are having so much issues with this adaptation, visual novels included. Yeah, they may have rushed some scenes, omitted some, and just altered them. But what can you expect? Even if 24 or 26 episodes, you're gonna miss a lot, especially with the comrade, which builds up the characters that we all know and love in the visual novel, and I still do because I've connected with them and I understand how they're building them up, and they can't explain every story. Moving on from this episode, basically salvation is happening. The Song of Destruction. This episode's title is The Song of Destruction. Kagari goes into her basically mindless frenzy thing as soon as Sakura Kashimi, or Kashima Sakura, that's her name, says, "It's time, Ki, come." And basically we get an entire thing about how the saint of Martel of Gaia more specifically is handled, is that every generation they choose a successor. Their memories of everything and feelings all passed down to the successor. So each saint basically hates humanity because of all the accumulated bad memories of the saints that have been previously, which makes them the current saint hate humanity as a whole, and that Akane is destined, and Shimako, the little girl, is the next one after Akane. Basically, it's like a long line of successions, kind of like the Pope, but this one is like passing down memories, and you actually have power, and the Pope is... No, I'm not getting into this whole religious debate about it, but just anyways, this basically sets up a whole bunch of information that's been revealed. Not a lot of it, but it's been revealed. It's there. You're going to... a lot of people are having trouble with this. I don't know why. You gotta look at the big picture. You gotta think outside of the box. Everyone who's watching, reviewing this anime, not everyone, there are people who are making some awesome analysis of basically the episodes and basically giving their honest thoughts instead of just watching the episode and just be like thinking, oh, I like the fight scene, I like the panty shots. No, none of that. But any anime can be contributed to this, whether it's a harem anime, an ecchi anime. You can go in thinking about some of the deeper meanings. If the deeper meanings is that you want to be a harem king, you're going to be a harem king. This is how you be a harem king in an anime. That's not going to work in real life unless you have a sort of eccentric friends, or you live in an alternate parallel universe that mirrors it. Now, you might think I'm just sounding off gibberish to make myself sound smart in this review. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not, maybe I have some key points. And basically the end of this episode is going to be basically the prelude and basically leading up to episode 13, which is going to be... I'm going to guess the title, The End of the World. Let's just say that The End of the World is going to be titled episode 13, from how much every foreshadowing, or bad ending, or rewrite, or... this time again, I don't know, but I'm really excited for the next episode, the finale. Moon and Terra, they're definitely going to animate it. You might call me out saying they're not going to animate it just because they have episode 0 of that scene. Then why would they do it? It's so clever foreshadowing that they did all the way in the episode 0 that it's just stupid to put it in there and not do anything with it. Maybe they won't, but I have high hopes and I have high expectations, and I know I have high, and I just know it. I know that basically they just foreshadowed it. I'm just saying that right now. Terra Moon is coming. Whether you want to see a Terra Moon, whether you want to see it animated well or not, let's just say that those Terra Moons are part of a different universe that link into the visual novels universe. Basically, it's all connected. Okay, there could be alternate parts of the multiverse. Once Moon comes out, or if you want me to do a spoiler discussion of how some things might be going, some theory crafting, whatever, some theory bunking, whatever you want to call it, I'm up for it. Just leave a comment below and I'll make a video about it. But I gotta go do Shokeki no Soma. Gotta calm down a bit though, because I'm honestly slightly triggered right now. You see, I managed to keep my cool. I didn't need any Snickers for this. The guy, I forgot your name, sorry man, who commented saying I should eat a Snickers before doing a review. I don't really need a Snickers unless I get extremely triggered by comments. See, the one thing I didn't make the mistake today of going to forums and getting extremely triggered. That's besides the point. I'll see everyone, have a nice day. I'm gonna have to fix the audio on some of this. I got interrupted in my first recording. I'm gonna splice those two together. So I'll be seeing you guys on the next review of Shokeki no Soma, and maybe what I'll be watching for fall. This is Rayama. I'll be seeing everyone and all of you people out there in the next review or video. Stay safe. Rayama out. Bye.